Before having my own school-aged kids, never had I ever considered homeschooling. And now that I have them, and I've been doing this for a few years, I can't imagine not homeschooling. Here are my 5 reasons why. If you're new here, I'm Rian, a Christ-following wife and a homeschool mom to 3 boys. Here we talk all things homeschool, and we will learn together how to use our roles as wife, mom, teacher, and homemaker in order to glorify God. So I do have to say there is a caveat to that statement that I made that I can't imagine not homeschooling, but we will get to that in a moment. But I have to preface this by saying I hate talking about this topic on this type of platform. I will talk homeschool all day to someone face-to-face, whether you homeschool or not. But it's a different thing when you're kind of putting it out there as kind of like a blanket video, because I think that people will hear parts of this and just totally check out and not join in on the discussion or not totally hear me out. And that's unfortunate, but I feel like it is an important topic to talk about. So here are my reasons why I homeschool, and some of them are a little touchy to some other people, but it's what they are. So my first 3 reasons are really the meat and potatoes of why I choose to homeschool. My 4th and 5th reasons are a little more kind of the perks of homeschooling that make my choice a little easier to make. My first reason is that I am after my children's hearts, and the public school is not the place for them because the world is after their hearts too. And if I send them off to a worldly institution for a majority of the day, then I am not going to get their hearts. The world is going to. Now I know that God is sovereign and he saves those whom he saves, right? So I'm not saying that this is how my children are going to be saved, but I'm just saying my job as a parent is to capture their hearts, and the public school is not where that's going to happen. A quote by Vodi Bakum: "We cannot continue to send our children to Caesar for their education and be surprised when they come home as Romans." And I know, before anyone flips out on me, I am not anti-teacher. I don't hate all teachers, okay? I wanted to be a teacher for most of my life. I just didn't know it was going to be in the walls of my house. And I do know there are good teachers out there. I know plenty of them. I am friends with them. However, I also know that the teachers are not free to teach how and what they want. I also know that, the government tells them what they can do by and large. And also there are some teachers out there that are not great, just like there's, people in every profession that are not great, who don't always have my children's best interest at heart. So this is just like anything else. How much do you trust the government with your money? Not very much. How much do you trust the government? Look at the past 2-3 years and all the stuff that's been going on. Do we really trust the government that much? Do we really trust them with our students, with our own children? I mean, I don't feel like I need to go into that anymore, but we can't send our kids to this worldly place and just expect them to remain unscathed. And this school is not the same school I was in 15 years ago. I don't remember how long I've been out of high school. 15, 16 years. I don't know, something like that. It's not the same school. We were just starting to get cell phones and stuff when I was in school. Now everyone has a phone. TikTok is rampant. All the social media, it's not the same. It's not the same thing at all. Not to mention the critical race theory agenda, the gender psychosis phenomenon that is happening. I don't even know what to call it other than literal psychosis. There's just all these issues that are being pushed, and you can say, oh, well, in our small school, yeah, maybe not yet, but it always starts in the big schools and it trickles down. So you may live like me in a more suburban kind of safe area. We're in the Bible Belt, but it's coming down the pipe. It's coming quickly. And you can look up all the research you want. It's happening. And then many would make the argument, well, I send my kids to public school so they can be a light to the kids that are there. I believe our children should be lights to others. However, if you are not discipling them at home, you're sending them away to be discipled, to disciple other kids, when really who's going to be doing the discipling? And so I feel that a child needs to be correctly discipled before they can go and make more disciples, right? And that kind of leads me into my second reason. I'm after their hearts, and therefore I don't have time to waste. So not only is the public school just not the place for them for so many reasons, for all of the agendas that are being pushed, for all of the stuff that these other kids have been exposed to that they will then expose my kids to, but I don't have time to give them over to someone else for 8 hours every single day. They spend 7 to 8 hours at school. That's without any extracurriculars. You add extracurriculars and sports and whatever else on top of that, plus travel time. Then you add in, their social time, they're hanging out with friends, and then you add in their grooming and their actual sleeping at night. And what hours do you have left, mom and dad? What hours are you actually discipling your kids? When is that being done? And, you can take them to church on Sunday, and that's great. And our churches are supposed to be a family, a fellowship that does come alongside you and help raise your children as you help raise their children. But that's not enough. I think it was Paul Washer that said you can't send your kids to school 8 hours a day, then expect to send them to church once or twice a week, color a picture of Noah's Ark, and be saved. That's not how that's going to work. And if you're one of those parents who is, I'm involved in my kid's life. We spend, they go to school, but then we spend, this many hours together at sporting events, and this many hours doing this, and this many hours doing that. Whatever it is, your kids are going to pick up on your practices. They're going to pick up on, hey, we spend our time mostly here and here, wherever those places are. And then in their heads are thinking, okay, those are the most important things. No matter what you say, if your life is revolving around your kids out and about doing things all the time, that's what's most important to you. And that's one of those things that I hate saying because it is really harsh. But if I am constantly shuffling my kids to and fro and doing this and doing that and all these other things, even homeschool moms can get wrapped up in this. I'm showing them that, hey, all of these things are really important. And, God will squeeze him in on the weekends and maybe at prayer time at night and at, around the dinner table, we'll pray real quick. But what I'm telling them with my actions is that God is less important than all these other things. So I'm after their hearts, and therefore the public school is not the place for them. And I don't have time to send them somewhere else for 8+ hours a day. But also, and this is probably the biggest reason why I homeschool, number 3 is this is my calling. This is my act of obedience. These children were given to me to raise. In the homeschool realm, the Christian homeschool realm, you will see Deuteronomy, I think it's 6-7, thrown around a lot. Teach them diligently, talking about the commandments to the children when you talk, or when you sit, and when you stand, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise, and all the things. Basically, constantly be teaching your children the commandments. And that is my first priority when it comes to my children, is to teach them the way of the Lord. And this is simply my act of obedience. So if I had to give one reason why I homeschool, it's because God has called me to care for these children. And that is the best way to do that. Am I saying that the best way to do that is through homeschooling? No. But what I am saying is that caring for their souls is something that I am called to do. I am called to shepherd my children. And I think education is a big way in which we are called to do that. And so, we take great care into serving our kids healthy food and taking care of their bodies and making sure that they are bathed and groomed and all of these things. But sometimes I feel like we just think good enough is good enough when it comes to education. And I just don't think that is the case. Now, this is where my caveat kind of comes into play. I think that you can also do this through Christian schools. I think that there are many great private schools out there that will teach your child the ways of the Lord through education. And that's okay too. I don't think that everyone has to homeschool, but as believers, as Christians, it is our job to make sure that our children's education is quality. And I don't just mean academically, I mean that they are getting the truth of God poured into them, and they're not going to get that in a government school. And I have many friends who do send their kids to public school, and I, would openly talk to them about this. I don't love them any less. I don't look down on them. I don't think I'm better than them. But I would just encourage every believer to at least consider homeschool and / or private school. I don't think that you should just send your kids off to government schools just because it's what your parents did, or just because it seems like the easiest choice, or because it seems like the cheapest choice. Consider your other options. So my fourth reason why I homeschool, and this one, like I said, is not nearly as weighty as those first three, but it's for their academics. I want my kids to know how to learn, to know how to find things out, to know how to reason. I want them to love learning. I want them to know how to, not just absorb information and regurgitate it. I want them to know how to find out truth and how to tell truth to other people. This isn't just a facts, absorption. This is, how do you learn? What do you do with what you learn? And I want kids who can reason well. I want kids who can take things in that aren't truth and be able to say, okay, should I believe this or not? Why should I believe this and why shouldn't I? And what should I do now that I know that I should or shouldn't believe it? What do I do with that information? And my fifth reason that I homeschool is just because I actually love being with my kids. I can't tell you how much it really makes me sad to see the memes and whatever come up around, August, talking about sending the kids back to school. I get it. I have a house full of 4 boys. I understand what chaos is like and what too much noise is like, and that there is a lot of mess and a lot of, just hectic days when it comes to raising kids. And I get it that sometimes you're like, wow, I could use a break. But I get really heartbroken when people are just like, I need them gone. I need them gone. I don't like being home with my kids. Why'd you have them? If you hate them that much, why'd you have them? I love that homeschool affords me time with them. I get a whole day with them most days. But I also love, that we have time to take breaks and to go on family vacations. I love that we are a family unit. You don't get one of us without getting all of us. And that can be kind of crazy at times, but I think it's really, really good. Psalm 127, 3-5, I think it is, talks about how children are a gift. They are arrows. And ultimately, 1, they're my gift. So I want to be around them. I want to be with them. 2, they're my arrows. And so I want to make sure that those arrows that I am shooting out into the world are well equipped to take on the world. And they aren't just going to go be swept away in the culture somewhere. And so I'm going to leave you with a quote from R.C. Sproul. The biggest illusion is that sending your kids to the government school is free. It's the most costly thing you could ever do. And I get that a lot. I get that, Caleb must make great money. He really doesn't. I mean, he makes good money, but we are not wealthy people, as people in America would call wealthy, okay? It's a sacrifice for me to stay home. It really is. And there was a time when it was a big sacrifice for me to stay home, like big. But I would still look back and say that it was worth it. And people say, well, you have the patience. I could never. No, I don't have any more patience than the next person. I pray a lot. I mess up a lot. And then I pray and ask for forgiveness a lot. And then we do better the next time, usually. And so I don't have extra patience. I don't have extra money. I don't have this great ability to teach. But God equips and God makes a way. And it's not as scary as people make it out to be. So to you homeschooling mamas, I encourage you, keep up the good, hard, sanctifying work. It's worth it. It's worth it. I know it is. And for you mamas who don't homeschool that may be watching this, I would love to just chat with you. Leave me a message, either in the comments or privately. You can email me or catch me on Instagram. And, just talk to me. If you have questions, if you have concerns, I would love to chat with you and just share my experience with you a little bit. So let me know down below, if you are a homeschooler, what is your number one reason that you homeschool your kids? I thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.